Right. Well, all right. So let me start the show. There'll be music. Here's the idea: people telling the stories that made them who they are today. Their secret backstory. When people hear someone else's story, it gives them the faith that things can work out for them as well. My name is Manchini. The podcast is called Secret Backstory. Ladies and gentlemen, today, thank you for stopping in and listening to Secret Backstory. Today we have Bill Manchini. He's from Maryland, and we actually grew up together. He was in a motorcycle accident, and it was a pretty bad one. And so we're going to talk about his recovery here today. And anybody out there who's been through something like this, if you're struggling with it, you get some insight. So, Bill, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
So like I was saying, I go by the spot where your accident was. I guess we'll just jump right in to the accident.
Well, it was before the swim club. Remember the swim club?
Oh, okay.
The
Yes.
Royan
The
used to
Bradford
run it,
Swim Club.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Okay.
it's like God, it's like 500 yards from that.
Okay.
So yeah,
Um, so so tell me what was happening. You're cruising down on your bike. What kind of bike was it?
KZ 550,
1983 KZ 550.
1983 KZ 550, brand new. I
Right.
was just borrowing it from a friend. Actually, this is the second time I rode it. I tried riding it earlier. I'm like,
Right.
that's good. My friend Phil rode it. He brought it back. I'm like, I'm gonna go show my parents.
Right.
So I took off, rode all the way around from Riverside, and I took the long way. And I was driving down Salem Street. Well, right there's a good straightaway.
Yes.
Yeah, me being 17, I think I want to go 100 miles an hour.
Right.
So I started passing cars, and there was a street, and there was this old guy. He just pulled out. He didn't see me.
Right.
I
Right.
hit the back brake. I wasn't that experienced riding yet. So I hit the
Right.
back brake. I didn't hit the front, and that's the reason I didn't stop.
Right.
So I'm like, what am I gonna do? So I started laying down the bike. I laid down the bike. That went over the car, and I hit the car sitting like I'm sitting in a chair,
Mm-hmm.
and it snapped L3. It fractured that, and it beat up all the insides of my body. I was internal bleeding like crazy.
Right.
I mean, everything inside was bleeding into pretty much into my butt.
And you were conscious during this, or did you black out?
Uh, no, it knocked me out.
Yeah.
Actually, they had to revive me on the scene.
Really.
But yeah, they had to. So that was first time I went out. I'm like, I don't remember anything about it, but yeah, they had to save my life there. Then they brought me to the Hale.
So when you say you went out, you flatlined on the
Yeah,
scene, or you did?
yeah,
Do
yeah.
you
They
know
had
how
to
long you
revive me.
were? Do you know how long you were flatlined?
No idea. And you know
Okay.
what? My parents won't tell me nothing like that. They're kind of funny about that stuff. So I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know if it was a minute, 5 seconds. I have no idea.
Right.
But
So
I
you
definitely
you
went out.
you flatlined once on the scene. They got
Yeah,
you into the ambulance, took you to the hospital,
yeah.
and what happened there?
Well, they took me to the Hale, and there happened to be a doctor there, and I can remember all the events. I just can't remember names. But he was a Vietnam trauma doctor,
Mm-hmm.
and he just happened to be there that day, which is lucky me, right? And he was able to get me stable and all like that. And they were going to put Harrington rods in my back. They didn't do that because I was in shock. Meanwhile, they're talking about all this stuff. I'm on the gurney, and I stood up from the gurney, went to the phone, called my buddy Terry. I said, "Hey, they think I got into a motorcycle accident. You got to come down and get me." And he went down to the hill, and they they wouldn't let him in the room. And that's actually when I went out the second time. They had
Really?
to revive me from that too. I shouldn't have been walking around.
Right. So you what? Well, you had to go to a payphone. I mean, we didn't have cell
Yeah, you
phones
know
then,
what? I was thinking about that. I called him. I don't think was that a payphone? I probably still had money in my pocket.
right?
So I don't know.
So
That's yeah,
you
that's
got up
kind of
and
sketchy
walked out
too.
of your bed and made a phone call,
Yeah.
but you
Meanwhile,
weren't
I
sure
got
that you were in an accident or not.
no way. I can't feel anything. I'm in shock, right?
Right.
I got a
Right.
broken back and massive internal bleeding. I had no idea.
Wow.
So yeah, and then
They got you
they,
back in the bed.
they got me. Well, they had to revive me again, get me back in
Right.
the bed. So that's number two.
Right.
And I think I was at the Hale for like a week,
Okay.
and they decided to ship me to Boston, down to Mass General,
Right.
and it took a ride down there in the ambulance. And I don't know why they didn't fly me. I was a mess. But I remember going. We got to Mass General, and I remember going through the doors of the emergency room, and that was it. I went through the doors, and the next thing I saw was this, a whole team of doctors and nurses working on me. And it's really hard to explain. I'm a non-believer of most everything,
Hmm.
and it was an out of body experience.
Okay.
It does happen.
Right.
It's crazy, and I can't explain it. I just saw it, and
So
next thing
you
you
saw
know,
the room from the
oh yeah,
perspective of like you were standing in the room somewhere?
from the perspective, yeah, it's from the perspective of I'm like 10 feet tall looking down.
Really?
Yeah, it was quite something.
Yeah, and this is not the first time I've heard about this kind of experience in a hospital. Just so you know, my ex-girlfriend had an experience like this.
Yeah,
That was pretty wild. And when she finally came to, she was in a coma for a few days. When she finally came to, she had a talk with her father about a conversation he had with her sister, and she was questioning the conversation, and he just looked at her and said, how do you know that? We had that conversation down the hall. We didn't even
yeah,
have it in this room. So this is not the first time. So go ahead. So you're 10 feet tall. You're looking at this room and you see the doctors. Do you see yourself?
yeah. Of course, they're
Really?
doing all kinds of stuff. They got all the packages open. They're hitting me with whatever they're hitting me. And they jump started me. And after that, it was 2 weeks. 2 weeks later, what I
Really?
missed it in that 2 weeks is I was in a clean room. We had to put your nuclear suit on and come in to no germs or nothing like that. And apparently, I was in shock, and they waited a little while, and I got gangrene. So
Okay.
now this stuff's eating away at me. I'm still bleeding and all that stuff. I, within a 2 week time period, I probably had 10 operations just to save my life. And
Wow.
yeah, I got scars to show it. You don't want to see those. I
Right.
like showing them off though, but whatever. Yeah, it was quite the thing. And 2 weeks later, I missed 2 weeks of my life. I just totally don't remember anything being in
Really?
that clean room.
Were
And my
you
mom
induced
said,
into a coma or anything, or
"No, no, no, not that I
you're
know of.
just out of it?
I was
Yeah.
just out of it. My mother said it was so bad. I acted like ET or something like that. She goes to the doctor, that's not right. So, and it was gangrene, and they had to fix that, and
Hmm.
they had to put me back together and debride me and all this stuff. It was just a mess, painful mess, in the
Right.
hospital.
Big time pain.
Yeah, there was a
So
lot of.
so how broken was your stuff? I mean, you had a broken disc, you
Well,
said.
yeah, I had a broken disc. It was L3, snap from L4, the little tendons there, and it had a fracture, and it actually looks pretty good now, believe it or not.
Hmm.
But I have scoliosis now because of that,
Right.
because my butt moved in a little too much, so it just bent my spine, which is
Okay.
weird, but I able to go past that. Um, Bladder, liver, kidney, pancreas, everything was bruised and bleeding into me. So
Right.
everything inside, almost everything, just seemed to be bleeding into me, and they had to stop that and do a lot of operations to fix that.
Right.
Yeah,
And
so that's.
so you wake up after 2 weeks. You're still in the hospital at this point, I take it.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
And how long are you in Boston in the hospital?
Well, I'm in Boston from June of '83 to September of '83.
Wow.
It was all summer. Yeah, I spent my 18th
That's
birthday in the intensive care.
right.
That was nice. I mean, I was in pediatrics, so I got
Right.
to see a lot of shit you don't want to see. I mean,
Right.
these are kids. I'm an older kid, but I'm looking at babies, kids, and everything like that.
Right.
And I quickly realized, yeah, I'm a mess. I'm paralyzed. I can't walk. But these guys, they're starting out their life. They can't do anything. Somebody don't have legs. There's a 2-year-old kid who can't breathe. He'll be dead in a year. It's just,
Right.
seeing all that
Perspective.
stuff puts it in perspective.
Right.
Exactly.
Perspective is absolutely everything in this
It
world.
really is, isn't it? I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah.
if someone can put something in perspective, man, everybody would be so much better off. All right, you know what? That's bad because the nurses used to tell me there's always somebody worse off than you.
True.
And,
True.
sitting in intensive care in the pediatrics ward, damn
Right.
right there is. There is a
Right.
lot of people worse off than I was. I had all my limbs.
Right. But you used the word paralyzed. Is that what they told you? Was that your
Well,
prognosis that you
what
were
they,
gonna be paralyzed, or
yeah, what they told my parents when I was out for that 2 weeks, they said, if he lives, I'm like, oh shit, what do you mean if? If he lives, he won't be able to walk. That's what they told
really,
him.
really?
So my parents were really thrilled about that. I mean, I put them through hell.
Right.
So yeah, and I had my last rites for it. I was sitting in. I remember sitting in the intensive care.
Hmm.
I was out or whatever. I was kind of out of it. I had a lot of drugs, and I was a mess. I woke up to the priest reading me my last rites,
Really?
and
What does
oh
that
my
do to
god,
your brain? What does that do
it
to your state
pisses
of mind?
it pisses you off for me because
Right.
I got hurt. It made me mad, man. What the hell? This isn't supposed to happen. I'm just starting my life out. I'm all hurt.
Right.
So when I saw him doing that, I'm like, I just laid into him like a friggin' drunken sailor. And he's like, "Oh crap!" And he left. And my parents are like, "Well, what do you do? Don't get somebody to read my last rites. I ain't not gonna die."
Right.
So yeah, I was determined.
You just turned
My
18. You're ready to
yeah,
go. Right.
right. I was determined. So I think I know, as my determination, my brain, my inner being, or whatever you want to call it,
Hmm.
did most of my healing for me. Because
Right.
if you don't think you're gonna die, you're probably not gonna die. I mean, you can get over a lot with your brain, with thinking alone. Willpower.
Right. Right. Positive
So
thinking.
yeah,
It's powerful.
yeah,
And going beyond positive thinking, believing um that something is going to happen.
right.
And in the negative direction as well as the positive direction. If you believe you can't do something, you can't. But if
No
you believe
way.
you
Yeah, no
can,
way.
you pretty much can.
You'll
Um,
find a way.
right.
It's just like when somebody says, "Oh, geez, man, I could never go through that," and I say to him, "Oh, yeah, you can. You either go through it or you don't. And if you don't, you're dead. Of course, you
Right.
can go through that. Everybody can go through that. You just haven't been, the situation just hasn't come up. And
Right.
lucky for you, it hasn't.
So, and for you, the kind of the driver for this was you were angry that you're just getting started. You just got your bike.
Yeah.
The summer was just getting rolling,
Well, it
and
wasn't even my
you got
bike,
stuff
so
to do. Oh, it wasn't your
yeah.
bike yet.
No, it wasn't my bike
Oh,
yet.
oh,
So yeah, that poor guy, I screwed him over. I ruined his bike.
oh no! What was it? A test drive?
Yeah,
Wow,
yeah, just going
wow.
home to show my parents, hey, this is the bike I'm buying. I had the money. I was working.
Right. And was this somebody you were friends with, or just somebody that
Yeah,
had
it
the
was
bike?
somebody I was friends with. Yeah,
Is he still
here
friends
we
with
go.
you?
You know what? Mark? I don't talk to a lot of people from back in school days. I talked to
Right.
Mahoney and Madigan and a few other people, Parmesan.
Right.
So yeah, but I don't talk to a lot of people. It's just sections of my life, and that was a section early in my life that has gone by.
Right. Right. I
It's
mean,
not that I don't want to. Yeah,
right. I don't see those guys. I mean, you and I haven't spoken since, I mean, you went to Haverhill High and I went to Whittier Tech. So,
yeah.
eighth grade was the last time we really hung out, because
Actually, right in Hunkin, right?
yeah. So, but yeah, I mean, and that happens. That's life. You grow up and you don't see those people anymore. And you and I have been friends on Facebook, and I want to get into your recovery part too, but
Mm-hmm.
and I have a special interest in this particular part because a little over a month ago I was in an accident. I was rear-ended in my truck, and I have some back injuries from it. I have a neck injury and a back injury. And the first advice you gave me when I was talking with you about this was stay out of surgery if you can,
If you
and
can.
yeah, and stay away from the pharmaceuticals. Which, I mean, they gave me some pain pills and I've used them because I've had some days that it
But
just
sometimes
sucks.
you just can't help it. You have to do it.
Right. And it's no fun to take these pills, and I'm on the couch and useless for the rest of the afternoon when I do take
Mm-hmm.
them. And so I'm just getting into that. So let's go back to you and get into you've been in the hospital for a few months. You're doing some kind of therapy in there. I mean, you're not just in bed the whole time,
No.
right?
Well, pretty much
Were you?
almost, well, 2.5, because they didn't want to. I was on a thing called Striker Fame. They'd flip me over to flip over and stuff like that. And I was in bed for 2 months straight.
Really?
They didn't want me getting up because of the instability of my back, and I wasn't in no shape for them to fix it yet. However, in September, that's when I started rehab in the White Building in Mass General, and I was able to stand up, get in a wheelchair, all that stuff, and that's where I learned to walk. I had to learn to walk again, which was, was a pain in the butt, but
Right.
you don't know what you can do until that it comes up and hits you in the face. It's like I got to learn to walk again. What the hell is this? Yeah, it's
Yeah.
it's it's all new to you. It's like what the hell? And so you learn to walk. You just do.
Right. I
And
mean, you remembered how, but you had to make your legs do it, right? It was is that
exactly.
kind of the thing?
Yeah, I mean my right leg it was weak, but my left leg was back. I'm still partially paralyzed in my left leg.
Hmm.
Somewhere there's a nerve pinched by something. Who knows? I can get away with it. It's not a big deal. I've been like that for 39 years, so it's fine. I'm just used to it now. I wear a brace, and that's actually a leg I broke a couple years ago too.
Right.
Anyway, get back on track.
Right.
Uh, so yeah, I got out of the hospital, which was great, but after that, it wasn't easy. It
Right.
wasn't
How
easy
how
for
long did I mean? How long before you stopped going to see doctors and just kind of started living your life? I mean, you were in the bed for a couple of months. You must have was physical therapy that big of a thing then? Is that
what yeah,
because
it had
physical
to be.
therapy is the answer to everything at this point?
Yeah, it had to be. From my injuries, I needed it. I
Right.
could not do anything. Well, anything from the waist down
Right.
because I was paralyzed for at least a month.
Right.
And then I guess the swelling went down, and I was able to move again. But yeah, so I went through extensive physical therapy every day for a month
Wow.
because I was there. So and I was up there with amputees and everything like that. We used to do wheelchair races at night. I mean, it's just you cope the way you cope. But yeah,
Right.
that's yeah.
So you found a way to have fun even in it, with the
I
other guys
did.
that were going through it and stuff.
Yeah, I'm talking 80-year-old guys with wheelchair racing. It's like, so you try to have fun. You try to, you cope with what you have.
Right.
And, I was in a room with 5 other guys. There's a young kid there, paralyzed from the neck down. He dove into a shallow piece of the lake, broke his neck. 3 other guys didn't have legs. One guy didn't have a leg, and then there was me.
Right.
So, perspective again, I was probably the best off of all of
You felt lucky in the room
them.
you were in.
Well, I guess so. I guess you could say that.
Hmm.
Lucky, it's a lot of people have said that. You feel lucky. I don't feel lucky, man. What I went through. I
Hmm.
mean, I know what 10 pain feels like. You know what I mean?
Right.
When a woman says she had that kind of pain, I equate it to that because that seems like that really hurts. But yeah, it was awful.
Yeah. So lucky is not the word you would choose at all.
No, no, not at all.
Right.
Fortunate, maybe. I
Right.
fought for everything I had to
Hmm.
do what I had. I didn't lose anything. I lost my foot. I didn't lose my foot, but I lost the use of my foot.
Right.
That's about it. So, lucky. Yeah, I'm fortunate.
Right.
I worked for it because I had to.
Right.
I had to stay alive, and I worked to stay alive. And that's what it was all about.
And so you're that was up here in New England, up in the Boston area. And
Right.
so at what point did you move south? I mean, you got married, you have kids,
I got one.
you got
Well, I
one
got
kid.
one, and my wife has two, so
Okay.
I got three. Yeah,
3 kids. Yep. Same thing.
yeah, yeah. I moved down here in 98, so I've been down here a
90.
while.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, I got married
And
in '96.
did
I
you
got
move down
divorced.
there for your wife or did you meet her up here? How did you meet your wife?
Well, at work, I was actually a couple of years after I got hurt. I started working again, and because boy, I was wallowing in self pity for like 3 years. It was awful, and this is what I want to get out to everybody: is don't do that. You can do it a little bit, but don't wallow in self pity for that long because it's not worth it.
Right.
Because you're gonna have to do something. You got to live your life. You can't wallow in self pity. It was if I could get across to anything, that would be it. Don't do that to yourself.
Right. So, and this is after your physical therapy or during your physical therapy? Were you doing that?
No, that was after.
It was
I mean, I'm
after.
home. I'm doing my own thing. Yeah, I felt like I'm a mess. Nobody's ever gonna want me. I don't want to work. I just was in a
Hmm.
bad place, for
Right.
a long time. Just one day, I woke up. I'm like, what am I doing? I can't do this anymore. Because eventually
Right.
you're gonna come to the realization you just can't do that kind of shit anymore.
Right.
So yeah,
So you were
I
hanging
went.
out at home. You were depressed,
Yeah,
and
pretty much.
were you being treated for that? Were you talking to anybody about it, or you were just
Ah,
doing it?
come on, Mark. It was the '80s. Nobody cared
Right.
about
Nobody
that,
talked about it. Right.
right?
Yeah. The memes are the therapy of the world right now on social media. It's like people posting memes and quotes, and
Right.
I saw a post of things people didn't say in the '80s that they say today, and
Oh,
it's like it, pretty much everything.
yeah.
I identify as this, or I'm depressed, or I'm whatever. We didn't talk about that stuff back then. We just
No, we did, and then and
we hid
I
it, if
got.
anything.
Oh
So
yeah,
if somebody come over to the house, are you like, oh yeah, hey, how you doing? I'm fine, but you're really depressed?
yeah.
Or,
Pretty
or
much. I
yeah,
didn't really let on, but I wasn't doing anything to help myself out. I thought it was fairly obvious until one day I had to snap out of it, which
right.
that's the only way you can get out of it, anyways. But no, we didn't never talked about anything like that. So
And you thought you
yeah,
were done. You thought
yeah.
I can't
I'm
do
done.
anything
No, I
for
no.
3 years.
Yeah, I can't do anything. Oh, I'm not gonna get a girlfriend. Who wants somebody with these big freaking scars and all that stuff? And I'm like, what am I thinking? And who
Right.
cares? And then I slowly started getting back into things, and uh, it's the people in your life that help you.
Hmm.
And even back in the '80s, just talk to you, not so much positive reinforcement, but just talking and just living life.
Right. You were still at home with your parents at that time, right?
Yeah, oh yeah,
Yeah.
I wasn't really working that much, and I wasn't going anywhere.
Right.
Yeah,
So
I was still a mess.
what was your the first day you got sick of this? What did you do? You walked out the door and what?
Uh, well, I went and got a job.
Hmm.
I was working at Elmar. You remember Elmar? It's a paint place for car paint and stuff
Oh
like
yeah,
that.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
on River
yeah.
Street. Yeah,
Yes, yes.
that's where I worked. I mixed paint for a while, and I just started getting out of it and making money, doing things. It took a little while, but I slowly got there.
Hmm.
And if I can get across to anybody, just don't take that long. I mean, we're talking 3 years
Right,
since the '80s, so about '86.
right.
This is crazy. You know what? You know what happened? I went to California. My friend Terry was in the Air Force, and I went to California, and I stayed there for like 2 months, and I came home. And I think that's what changed everything. I met people out there.
Hmm.
It wasn't all the people hanging around at home. I met people out there, and I was talking, and it just clicked. I don't have to be a shut in. I
Right,
can do this. I got to do this. I'm not gonna die, so I got to continue to do this in my life.
right.
So I got to straighten up.
Well,
And
and
yeah,
a lot of times, when people are talking about depression, the advice that they get is get outside, get out into the sun, even just in your
right.
yard, just be out of the house. Um, I've gone through it myself where, I'll just sit in the house every weekend. Like, I'm single and I'm feeling bad for myself and I can't find a
Yeah,
girlfriend and all this,
yeah,
just petty crap. And
yeah. It's tough. That self pity is terrible. It's
it
terrible.
is. It is. It's easy to slip into. And I don't know if it's a personality thing or if everybody's susceptible to that.
Yeah,
But I certainly have, gone through my little bouts of it. Um, And yeah, I agree. I mean, you gotta push yourself out there and get going. And going to see your friend probably was the thing. It probably
yeah.
got you out there.
It
And you're like,
was.
there is a life out here, and I'm gonna get a piece of it. And um, you've gone on to you didn't give up motorcycle riding.
Nope.
And
I did
what's
for a while.
did you?
I did for a while.
Okay. And what was it? Was that do you think that was a fear-based decision or a logic-based decision or um,
It's a family-based decision.
a family-based? Okay.
What I put my parents through was it was hell. I couldn't imagine going through that as a parent. It was pretty bad, and I didn't want to do that to them again.
Right.
Because if I did fall again, that probably would have been it anyway. So so
Right.
yeah. You asked me about my wife and stuff like that. I started working for the government in '88,
Mm-hmm.
so I'm a federal employee, which is nice. But I couldn't do anything else. I was a mason. I couldn't lift brick or anything like that anymore. So I became a federal employee. I met my first wife at work, and actually, her sister sold me her motorcycle. So that's how it started again, and that started probably about 2002.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. And how did that first ride feel? Was it good? Were you nervous?
Well, I actually before that I have ridden my bike. A friend of mine came over. He had an eliminator. You remember the eliminators back then?
Yes. Yeah.
Holy crap! Right?
They were crazy
And
bikes.
they were crazy bikes. I got on. I rode down Salem Street. Rode past the place where I got hurt, and just to make sure, get that out of my head. Rode back and like, holy crap, that was a crazy bike. I've ridden a couple times.
Mm-hmm.
So when I got back on in 2002, it wasn't a big deal. It was just a 600 Shadow, something small, cheap, just to
Right.
make sure I still wanted to ride. And yeah, hell yeah, I still wanted to ride.
Right. It's a good feeling.
It is.
Um, I really enjoy it. I haven't ridden my bike much. And again, this, because of this accident, I rode my bike the first nice day we had was a Friday and I drove it to work. I get a new job and I'm showing off
Right.
my bike and stuff.
That's a beautiful bike, man. I like that.
Thank you. Thank you. And so since getting hit, I'm like, there's no way I can take that bike out. Just with the pain I have in my back. I just don't feel like if it's going over, I'm going to be able to hold it up. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, you're riding a motorcycle too. Your head's going to be on a swivel. If you got neck pain, that's going to be hard to do.
Right. And I have a herniated disc in my neck. And she showed me on the MRI where it's been pushed out and into the spinal canal, I guess it's
Yeah.
called. Where when you're looking at the MRI, there's all this fluid around your spine, and then she gets to the disc that's out, and it like blocks it. It's all black. There's no white to
Yeah.
represent the fluid.
Okay.
Um, and I said to her, I said, if I look down, like I'm reading or something, right? And I didn't know this when I first started dealing with this. I have my head in the down position reading, or like at work, because I'm still working. I'm looking at the keyboard to type because I can't type. And
Yeah, I know. I
writing
can't do it.
writing in my notebook and stuff. Well, after I had my head down for a while, getting it when I look back up, it hurts to bring it back up to look straight ahead.
Yeah.
And she's like, well, is there something blocking it, or is it just painful? I said, well, it's painful. It's like it feels like maybe it swells up or something. And so, and again, she's looked at it. I really like her. Like my first visit with her, she was very like a take no shit kind of doctor. And
Those are the kind of doctors you want.
just the facts, and let's look at the reality, and we're not going to speculate anything.
Mm-hmm.
And so again, she thinks the neck is the biggest component of this for my pain. And so I'm getting that cortisone shot, the double cortisone shot, and we'll see how it goes. I got to go to physical therapy, and then we'll address the back. But she showed me the back MRI too, and that white fluid representation that's on the MRI is supposed to be, a straight line of white down both sides of the spine, and in the front of it, or the one side where all the vertebrae are, it looks like sausage links. The bones are all pushing into it and cuts off the fluid. Like, I mean, there's a space of them.
Yeah.
And
shit. You
I
got
can,
injured, man.
yeah, and I can feel it. It's like sitting right now. It hurts. Sitting is not good. Any position is not good after a few minutes. It's like the only one that's good is laying down. But then if I lay down for a while, my head starts to hurt, and I don't like being laying down all day.
Well, yeah, I get you.
And you probably understand that because you spend so much time laying down. It's like you just get so tired of laying down.
Oh my
It's like
God, right?
I want to be vertical, for God's sakes. And then I was standing up for a couple hours the other day. Yesterday, what's today? Sunday? Yeah, it was. No, it was Friday. So I was standing up for a couple hours Friday, and it's like, man, it started to kill again. So I got to get the neck thing looked at first, and then we'll see how the back is doing after that. But again, she thinks that the neck is causing most of the pain. So hopefully
I,
she's
I
right.
would I would think so.
Yeah.
It's at the top and everything's connected. Well, everything's connected to the spine. And so
Right.
if it's at the top, everything below that, you're gonna have a little bit of problem.
Okay.
Whereas mine's L3, everything below that, I had problems.
Right.
I was lucky enough to, have it to high. But the pain thing, I've lived with pain for 39 years.
Right.
Different degrees. Um, I was down to like one or two pain every day, and then I broke my leg. Everything got thrown off a little bit, and so I was in pain. I'm in therapy again just to straighten my hips back out.
Right.
So there's going to be a certain, and I don't do this to discourage you. I just want to tell you there's going to be a certain amount of pain, and you're going to have to put up with it,
Hmm.
and you will get used to it. It's either or, and you will. I've
Right.
gotten used to it. Everybody gets used to it. It sucks they have to get used to it,
Right.
but you do. You know, you do, and it becomes easier. And you'll have bad days. Oh my God, but you'll have mostly good days because don't let your pain define you.
Right.
Take a Tylenol, whatever. Even if you have like a medical card or something like that, that'd be good too. That's better than
Right.
any narcotic.
Right. Right. I had been purchasing CBD bud, which is like a very low THC. It's like 0.03 THC. It's almost no high with it.
Right.
For sleeping. I've been smoking it for a year or so. And not every day, not every night, but when I'm having a night where I don't feel like I'm gonna get to sleep, I'm like just wound up for whatever. I'll
Hmm.
take a couple of hits of CBD bud, and I sleep pretty well with it. And
Yeah, it's
I've
helpful.
had people tell me this is good for pain as well. I have not
Yeah.
yet experienced that as a pain reliever because I've smoked it with the pain I have, and it seems to have no effect. I've had like 2 or 3 days where the pain is like I can't get away from myself. I can't find a position to get into. I'm like I just want to like leave the house, and leave the pain in the bedroom or something. It,
Yeah.
it's it's just it's dull, but it's constantly present, and it's I'm calling it a 10, and it's probably not a 10 compared to your 10. Because again,
It's all
perspective is
relative to who you are.
right.
Right.
And so, because the doctor asked me, I said, I've had tents. I've definitely had tents, and I'm not doing well with it. And I got upset in the doctor's office, and she looks at me. She's like, "Why are you getting so upset?" I'm like, "I'm so sick of this. It's been over a month, and I've been injured in the past.
Hmm.
I've broken bones, and I've pulled my back or whatever, and hurt this or hurt that, and it's over in a few weeks. I broke ribs when I ran a Spartan race, and I fell, and I broke a rib or two. I never went to the doctor because you can't do anything for it, but it was definitely broken.
No, right, right, right. Well,
And
that's what you get for running. You probably shouldn't be running.
right, right. And well, I mean, I was 54. I was trying to prove something, to
Yeah.
myself that I could still move. And which I did. I completed it, but 4 or 5 weeks later, it was over. The broken rib pain thing was gone. And so I've been waiting for this to be gone, and it's
Yeah.
just not.
Mark, just from experience, which is almost 40 years of experience, if something in your back is damaged or hurting, you're gonna have to deal with that for quite some time, if not forever. And I don't
Right.
mean to diminish anything here, but there's different levels dealing with it.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's gonna hurt, and
Yeah.
you
The
got to get
doctor
through it.
the doctor looked at me the last time I was in there, and I looked at. I said, "Is this fixable or what? What? You're not really telling me what's gonna happen. You just keep telling me where we're at or what you're seeing. What's gonna happen? Is this fixable?" And she looked at me, and her shoulders dropped. And this is like again a no nonsense, you know, almost no empathy kind of doctor, which I, again, prefer.
Right.
And all of a sudden she had all this empathy. And she looked at me and her head tilted to the side. She's like, I'm so sorry. You're going to have to go through this. Like she realized that I don't get it.
Yeah.
That because I'm waiting for her to click something or to, to do something.
Do something, plan something, give you a date.
Right.
When this
Something
is
that
be
pushes
over.
everything back into place and I'm on my way. And she looked at me, she's like, this is going to be a long thing. This is not going to be over soon. And it's going to suck. It's going to hurt. And so that was a hard day for me to hear that. Yeah.
It is. And this is, when I was talking to you and I kind of guessed that you got hurt, I thought you dropped your bike. I'm glad that didn't happen.
Right.
But I'm like, man, I'm thinking he needs somebody to talk to. And I knew you were talking to the doctor. So that's why I offered, I was like, I know I can help you. When it comes to the pain thing, they used to debride my wounds, right? And that's extremely painful. I had a hole in my back that went all the way to my stomach. I used to have to pick off the dead skin and all that stuff. It's a whole thing I don't even want to explain because it's gross.
Right.
But it really hurt. So I'd have to go to a place in my head and say to myself, well, it's pain. That's all it is. It's just another feeling. It's unpleasant, but that's all it is. And that seemed to help me. They did this every day for like a month, but yeah. So
that's brutal.
Pain's relative too. It's our perspective. I mean, it's gonna hurt, sure, but this worse.
Right.
And you're not doing that. So it's uncomfortable. It's hard to give advice on pain but now you're going through it. So
yeah. I don't think it's something you can explain to somebody who's not in pain.
No.
And I said this the other day to my boss. I have rolled my eyes at people who constantly talk about being in pain, and they have this and they have that pain and they have that pain. And any of my friends who are hearing this, who have said this, I apologize, but I've had these moments where I'm like, I know you're in pain. I get it. And I'm so sorry, but
you don't know until you know.
Right. Well, now I'm experiencing this. And I said to my girlfriend, I said, I know I've said this several times. I say my back or my, whatever, my neck. And I know you're probably sick of hearing it. I said, but it's like I'm in pain all day long. And I just feel the need to remind everybody around me that I am.
Yeah. I get it.
It's like,
I totally get that.
You people are all acting like I'm not in pain anymore. We're just having normal conversation. I just want to inject. I'm still in pain. Okay. And
I know exactly what you're talking. I've been through that.
Right. It's a weird thing. And so I don't know. Here I am. I'm 57 and I'm dealing with this. And from what the doctor was saying, I'm probably going to be dealing with it for a while.
Yeah, you probably, because you are 57. This happened when I was 17. So, I was able to heal and all that stuff, but I still got the pain. And you know what? Eventually, you won't be saying you're in pain. People will know. They'll forget. My wife always forgets, which is fine. It's all right. If they're forgetting, that means I'm not showing it. So that's all right.
Right.
And you learn how to deal with it. It's part of life.
Yeah.
It's all it is. It's part of life. You got to make it part of your life and you got to deal with it. And, just no empathy, just, hey, suck it up and deal with it.
Right.
I don't mean that in a bad way. I mean, that's just the way it is. That's what you're going to say to yourself eventually.
Right. Yeah.
This stages you go through and you get there, but don't take as long as I did. That's for sure.
Right. Right. Yeah. I didn't even think to reach out to you. I mean, so when I go to Carter's Ice Cream with somebody, I'll tell the story, my friend Bill from grade school. And I'll point out, and I thought it was someone that was going to turn and then you went past them and then they turned in front of you, but it was somebody came out of the side street, I guess. So I didn't remember the details. Of course, I heard it all secondhand. I wasn't talking to you at the time. I didn't talk to you while you were going through it, but I knew you were going through it. I don't remember who told me or how, but there was a grapevine happening. So, your friends were aware of the whole thing. Even the ones you weren't talking to. And
I just thought everybody thought I was dead.
Right. Right. Well, I mean, I never heard that. But
Yeah,
I heard you were in a bad accident and you were in the hospital and I thought somebody had said you were in traction. Again, I may be making that up. Um, it's been a long time. So
not traditional traction, no. But
right.
yeah, it has been a long time.
Um, but yeah, I mean, just so you know, I mean, yeah, I still think about it when I go down that road, and I'm sure there's other people that do too,
Yeah, that's funny. I didn't know if anybody thought of it, but the road to recovery, it's long and hard, but
Mm,
you got to get there. People
right.
say you can't. Oh, I can't do that. Of course you can do that. You're a person. You just do it.
Right. Well, staying where I am is not an option for
Right.
me. This
So
is
you got to do something.
right. I can't do this for the rest of my life. This
No,
is got to change. And it's gonna, and hopefully, and I go Tuesday morning. So hopefully Tuesday morning I walk out of there from getting my little cortisone shots, and I'm like a brand new man, and everything's wonderful. That's what I'm
it'll
hoping.
feel good. It'll feel good for a while.
Yeah.
I got cortisone shots here and there. They only lasted a week or two for me, but
Right.
everybody's different, and this
Right.
could last months for you. You can only do so much, but
Well,
let's
my
hope they
question
last a little
was,
longer.
I mean, the shot. I mean, it's a cortisone shot. It's a steroid.
Yeah,
Is that going to push the bone back in place? No. So
no,
how do we get the bone back where it's supposed to be?
you're
You
blocking the
know?
pain is what is happening.
Right.
So how do you get the bone back? So there's a couple ways. Physical
And I don't want to
therapy.
go in for surgery. I'm not suggesting let's operate, but
Yeah, that might be your only alternative. And once you start getting into that, well, I've had 21 operations.
mm,
Uh, you know, I've had things fixed, but it didn't seem to help. They did things, but it's tough going through the surgery, having the injury. It's just once they seem to get in there, it just doesn't seem to get right. But
right. Most of the
but
people,
sometimes you go in there and it'll affect you. So
right. Most of the people I've talked to that have had it have either said it didn't do anything or it
mhm.
helped a little bit. Not, I'm brand new.
I guess you would have to get a good doctor. Is she a surgeon?
I don't know. I don't know.
She could probably
She's a
send you to
spine
somewhere.
specialist. I know that. I'm going to
Yeah.
a spine specialist here. And she convinces me that she knows what she's talking about because because I look at the MRI pictures and I have no idea what I'm looking at.
Oh, I can't look
and
at
then
MRI
and
pictures.
then
So
she
yeah,
explains it and I'm like, oh wow, that okay, that makes sense.
yeah.
So she sees it different than I do, of course. So I don't know if she's a surgeon or not. That's
There's a lot better technology nowadays.
right.
83, it just felt kind of
Right.
medieval what they
Right.
were doing. But nowadays, there's so much more technology. There's so many more things you can do. There's different kind of PT. There's even different kind of operations and stuff. I mean, I'd be very hopeful if I were you.
Right. Well, and I'm trying to stay positive. The doctor
Yeah.
even said, you need to believe that this is going to help you for it to
Yes, you
help
need
you.
to. You
So,
absolutely need to. Because if you
so
think it won't, it won't.
right,
But you have to believe it, and that's when I go. I would say that was 75% of my recovery is believing I could
right.
recover.
So on the other side of all this, I mean, you're, yeah, I don't remember if you were younger than me or older than me, but, or
June,
are you 57
I
or
am
58?
57.
You're 57.
57. Yeah.
Okay. So are you still dealing with the pain?
Yeah.
Or at what level are you dealing with the pain?
Uh, on my pain scale, it's like a 1 or a 2,
Mm-hmm.
sometimes a 3 or a 4, which is
Mm-hmm.
really rough. But yeah, it's like a 1 or a 2 every day.
Okay.
And
That's tough.
since I've had the little crick in my back because I was thrown off, it's been like a 3 or a 4. But I'm getting rid of that. We're working through that. So
So
yeah, every day. Yeah. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
no, 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 you're fine. So you're still going through it. I mean, and again, someone who's walking into this, and I'm talking about someone listening. Um, Again,
Yeah.
the point of the show is, um, if we tell the stories about what we've gone through, and someone hears it who's going through that,
Hmm.
they get some hope from that there is another side, the other side to this kind of thing.
There is, and I don't want to, discourage anybody by saying I still go through it.
Right.
Yeah, you still go through it, but there is we do get used to things.
Right.
It's pain. Pain is pain. It's only pain, and that's how I look at it nowadays. It's it's just the way it is. This is my life, and I'm fine. I have a good life. I'm very fortunate. I have had 39 extra years from a day I probably shouldn't have lived on. So this is how I look at it, and it just, it's fulfilling. I guess I can say,
Right.
everything hasn't been perfect, but I do remember that day, and I do remember I'm here, and I shouldn't be.
Right.
So that helps me. And people going through that, just it'll get better. It always gets better.
Right.
You have to be in a good mindset, but it will get better. Things do get better.
Are there times that you forget about it being bonus days and then like you realize I'm on bonus time? Is there a
Oh yeah, 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 all the time. If I'm being a dick to somebody, it's like, what am I doing?
right,
Just that kind of thing. It's like taking advantage of it, taking it for granted that I'm still here. It does hit me. It hits me a lot where I say, you know what? It's
right,
humbling, I guess you could say.
right. I mean, it's
You
human
know,
nature to take things for granted. We
of
just
course.
do. Um, but then I guess you get to that point where you remember, man, I went through this, and um, like having you on as a guest. I don't know why you didn't come to mind. And I guess because I don't think about you in that light all the time, that you're the,
Hmm.
the kid that was in the motorcycle accident thing. Um, I remember I was telling a story about sitting in Mr. Noyce's class,
Oh my God, Mr. Noise.
and we would smuggle snacks into the class and stuff. And he caught us one day with I think it was a 2-liter bottle of soda, and as he was reading The Outsiders to us, and he came and took it from us and dumped it in the sink behind us. We just watched it go down the drain. But yeah, we had fun in school. We had fun. It was a good time to be a kid. I guess I feel
Yeah, 70s.
it was different. We all walked to school. There was, I mean, the same street that I drive down now as an old man, and I
Hmm.
see no kids. Maybe a handful, 10 kids I might see walking to school. When
Yeah.
we went to school there was 10,000 kids. I mean, it
Oh my
was
God, they were all coming down the
right.
road. The buses they had to get out of the busway. Yeah, I remember that. It was
Yeah.
crazy.
And we all
But it
walked
wasn't
and took
crazy.
our
It's just the way it was.
right, right. Bicycles. Everybody was walking to school. Nobody was being carted in by their parents.
Right.
And
It's so much
now
different now.
it's a traffic jam because all
It is.
the parents are bringing their kids in. And
Yeah,
I don't
it's
know that
different,
that's a
man.
negative thing or not, but it's just different from our time. Um,
Yeah, different times.
yeah. I
Totally. I mean,
mean,
when my grandparents grew up in the 30s and 40s, it's like, and that was different. So, it's yeah, again, perspective, man. There comes that
right.
word again.
It's true. It's everything. It's everything. It's in every part
It
of
is.
life.
It
Um,
is.
well, listen, this has been a good conversation, I think. And I appreciate you reaching out to me when you did. It was definitely an aha moment for me. I was like, oh yeah, he would know. He would have, that experience to let me know what to expect. So that was great. And so thank you for
I
that.
I did take it upon myself. I don't want to step on anybody's feet or anything like that, but I just thought you should know that there's somebody out here who's been through that shit and been through the grinder. And if you need to talk, I am here if you want to talk to me, because it's not easy to go through alone, especially when you like you can't do anything. It hurts and all that stuff. You get frustrated. So if you need someone to talk to, I'm here.
Right. Well, I appreciate that. And I do feel like a baby sometimes, when I want to
Oh,
go do
of
something.
course.
My summer has sucked so far. I haven't ridden my bike. My truck is still in the body shop.
Yeah.
And, with the supply chain in the condition it's in, parts are, not
Oh yeah, it's gonna be
available.
tough, right?
It needs part of a frame. It needs a whole back end and a whole front end. Really, the only thing that they're not replacing is the cabin. I mean,
Jesus, really?
and the motor, yeah.
You got
And
smacked, huh?
I got smacked hard. I
Yeah.
was sitting, and I don't know if you remember the 495 93 intersection, right? Where you
Yeah,
get
yeah,
on the
yeah.
93 South heading to Boston. I was sitting in traffic still because there was so much traffic trying to get on the 93. So I'm on
Yeah.
495, basically parked.
Oh, I
I
know
might have
exactly
been
what you're
moving
talking
a
about.
little bit, and some kid come up behind me, man, and I just don't. I think he was just not looking, and all of a sudden, I felt like I was in the air, and I was stepping on my brakes, and I'm like, why am I moving? I didn't even understand what was happening,
Right.
and then I hit the car in front of me, and I saw the car in front of me go flying, and I'm like, I got rear-ended. That's when it until I hit the car in front of me, you
Yeah.
know, because I was hard on the brakes. I knew I was on the brakes, and I'm like still moving. And I thought the truck, I thought like the motor had jumped or something, which
Yeah. Yeah.
doesn't
Yeah.
make any sense. Um, and so, and then so the guy that I hit pulled over, and I was like, I gave it a shot. I pulled right over, and then I saw the BMW behind me, and it was crushed. The whole front end, he went right under the car. The whole front end was
Ooh.
gone. All his
Yeah.
bags were deployed. Although he got out of the car, he was a kid. I
Yeah.
think he was 17 years old, something like that. And he got out of the car for a little while, sat with us, but then he left in the ambulance. I don't know what transpired to
Right.
make that happen, but um, and the truck, I made my first payment the day I got hit.
Oh.
It was
Oh
absolutely
no.
brand new. Yeah.
Oh.
It was, and I had just like decked it out with a couple things. And, I drove that thing and I was like watching curbs and, looking at branches on the side of the road. I didn't want to scratch the side. I mean, it was
Yeah. The
ridiculous
new
how I
car
was
thing. Right.
driving it. Right. And I got sandwiched and the thing was
Oh.
from the back and from the front. And like, looking at the bed, you can see the quarters are pushed out in the middle because the whole bed got pushed under and then up.
Mm.
And so it's like, folded like that. What not that drastic, but you can see the quarter panels. They had to
Right.
be replaced. The back frame's getting replaced. The front,
Insurance
um,
company's fixing it.
yeah, yeah, they
All
didn't
right.
total it. Yeah,
All
he
right.
said there wasn't enough damage to total it. You got to get it 75% or something like that, and they
Okay.
were at 40%. So,
Oh, that's good.
um, so, but the problem with that for me is I don't know when I'm going to see it.
Yeah.
Because I
Yeah.
work in HVAC and I sell parts and I sell equipment, and it's the automotive industry is no different. The supply
Oh
chain
no.
issue
It's
is
yeah.
there,
It's pretty bad.
and I mean I'm selling equipment that's 30 weeks out. It's a half a year.
Yeah. That's
That's
crazy.
so I don't know when I'm going to see my truck again. But
Yeah.
positive thinking, right? Perspective. So
Yeah.
and not that this was easy, but I boiled it down to, um, I'm not dealing with the high gas prices. You know what I mean? Because they
So
really
you're looking for the
skyrocketed.
good.
Right.
You're looking for
And,
the good in the shit.
and I'm going to have low mileage on the truck when I get it back. So,
Right. You
so there's
won't have
two
30 weeks.
things. I got two
Right.
things, and that's good. And gas is going down already. So,
Yeah. And it,
who knows?
there's some things you can't control, and you can't control the supply chain, which everybody in the country, in the world, actually is dealing with that. So hey, you can't worry about things you can't control.
No, no,
Yeah, I've
that's
come up
it.
with a lot of coping mechanisms in my lifetime, and it's brought the stress down, way down.
Right.
I am just I'm just so chill nowadays. So I try not to get although I'm getting old and cranky. I
Hmm.
try not to get too bad with people and stuff like that. So you can't control it. Don't worry about it.
Yeah. It's a simple thing to say.
It
It's a
really
simple thing to
is.
say, but when you finally learn to do it, it changes who you are. I mean, the
It
guy I
does.
was at 35, I was yelling at everybody. You know what I mean? Driving
Yeah.
down the road, nobody knew how to drive except me.
Yeah.
And,
Oh, that's you got that right. You and me both.
but now I can drive down the road and I'll let people pass me. Go ahead. You know
Yeah,
what I mean? It
whatever.
doesn't even bother
Yeah.
me.
No.
Um,
It's like wherever you need to go, you're fine.
right. It's just weird. I again, that 50-year-old finish line. I've talked about this with other friends. Something happens when you get into your 50s that you see it different. You know what I mean?
You know what? It's so right. Like 40, you can't see anymore. 50, your whole perspective changes about everything. It's like, oh wow, my parents were right about everything. So I was a dummy and didn't know anything, and
Right.
you just It's just things you don't care about anymore that you cared so much about 10 years ago. It's like, what? Why was it even bothering?
Wasn't
It's
even
you know,
important.
right? The youth is wasted on the young, man. Because I wish I was like this when I was young.
It would be amazing if, and I'm guilty of this too in my 20s and my 30s, if I had just listened to the older folks
Oh yes,
and not thought they just don't get it because they're from a different time.
yeah,
This is
that's
this
not
is the
true.
80s. This is
Right?
this is the future. I live in the future. These guys don't understand this. They're from the 50s, you know.
Yeah,
Well, here
there's
we
some things
are.
that don't change.
Yeah. It's
Yeah,
crazy. Yeah, the youth just we don't absorb from our
I
elders.
know, and I don't see that ever changes. Boy, I wish I could. Boy, if I could get that to change, I'd
That'd
be
be
rich
awesome.
beyond amazement.
It's true. It's true. The world would be a better place.
It certainly
Um,
would be.
well, listen, I've had you for about an hour now, so
Did you get what you needed?
I think so. I think we got a good conversation. Um, and let me officially thank you for being on the show,
Oh my God,
and
yeah, heck yeah,
I really appreciate it. And it's good just seeing you and talking to you again after so many years.
yeah. No,
Facebook
it really
provides
is.
Facebook provides a connection, right? You get to see
Right.
pictures and hit and read some stories, but this is being able to talk to somebody again that you knew as a child is kind of cool.
It's pretty good. I was happy that you reached out to me, and I was happy to do this. There's a whole bunch of stuff I think I left on the table that I haven't said, but this is enough.
Whether you're telling your secret backstory or listening to someone else tell theirs, we're all just walking each other home. If you want to tell yours, send an email to tellmystory@secretbackstory.com.